Wednesday morning on BBC Radio Oxford with me, Adam Ball. Jeremy Ckarkson saved my life. Now, that's not something you hear every day, but actually something my next guest stands by. And for 52-year-old Andrew Hood from North Devon, he wants to thank the Oxfordshire presenter turned farmer, but with a little bit of a twist here. So Andy joins me on the phone to share his story. Good morning, Andy.
Morning, Adam. How are you?
Really good, thank you. Okay, so let's go all the way back to 2021 when this started. You were watching Clarkson and Co. on the TV. So what exactly happened?
I've been watching an episode of the Grand Tour with one of our sons. We absolutely love. We followed Clarkson and Hammond and May for years. We were watching that and had a great episode and laughed as we usually do. And a couple of days later, I went out for one of my usual runs. Beautiful sort of summer's evening run. I took the obligatory run selfie at the end, which I still have on my phone today. As I came back into the shower, the episode sort of struck my mind. And the reason for that was that they were having a good fun, seeing whether they could drive their cars faster on a lap, having drunk 3 pints of water and desperately needing the toilet. And they'd had little jokes during that section around getting up in the middle of the night and needing to go for a wee. And that gets you thinking about prostate cancer, which is something that a lot of men suffer from, and prostate issues in time. That got me then thinking about testicular cancer. So I thought, well, I'm 48 years old at the time. I'd never checked myself. Maybe I should. And I'm glad I did, because it resulted in me finding out I had cancer.
So, wow. I mean, all sorts of things go through my mind here, because I know how I would feel if I was doing that and I found something. Like petrified comes to mind. So you were in the shower, you were checking, and you found something. So talk to me about what went through your mind at that point and what you did next.
Well, I found something very unusual, and I'll be honest and say, I knew very little about testicular cancer, and having gone through this now and spoken to an awful lot of men, hundreds of thousands of men about it, we're in a very similar boat, it seems. We don't really know what we're looking for. We don't really know the signs that we're trying to pick up, but I knew something was definitely wrong. One of my testes had shrunk to essentially the size of a marble. I knew something wasn't right there. So I got on the phone to my GP the following morning, and very lucky, managed to get a very quick appointment with them. And it was a matter of days before I had an appointment with the sonographer. They did an ultrasound. They clearly had found something, because I was then referred to the urologist. And Adam, all I remember at the urologist's appointment was just the word cancer. That's all I could hear. It was getting louder and louder and louder in the appointment. And I think it was at that moment that it really hit me that this is serious.
So where did you go from here? What was the treatment that you had to endure after that?
So I went, after the appointment with the urologist, I had an operation. That was just a matter of days later. It was very fast.
Wow.
I had an orchidectomy, so I've had one removed, and then because my cancer had spread a little, I then had to have chemotherapy as well, but I had to wait until I'd recovered from the operation, so the chemotherapy didn't start until about 6 or 7 weeks later on. And both the operation and the chemotherapy really took it out of me. I admit I got very down about it. I'm an avid runner. I was mid-training for quite a meaningful event at the time, which then had to be postponed for my diary. And I actually remember trying to negotiate with the urologist at the time, saying, I'm mid-training for an event in September. Do you think we could wait until after then? And I got a very disapproving look from him. It was absolutely no way.
Yeah.
You need to have an operation right now. And I'm glad I did, because it did turn out that I hadn't picked this up soon enough, and it had spread. If I hadn't have detected it at that point, it was very, very clear to me, if I hadn't have detected it at that point, it would have been an awful lot more serious. And I cannot thank the episode of the Grand Tour enough for prompting me. It was that prompted me to do it. And without it, Adam, I would never have checked.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying here is that conversation that Clarkson had, that you watched, basically saved your life.
Absolutely saved my life. Without watching that episode, I would not have checked myself. And probably the only time I would have come aware of this is when the cancer would undoubtedly have, gone significantly through my body, and that would have put me in a very, very different position. Would you and I be talking right now? Quite possibly not, Adam.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's not every day somebody wants to thank Jeremy Ckarkson, but you do. So in all seriousness, I mean, tell us what you're planning to do, because this is incredible.
So as a runner, I made the decision, Adam, when I was laying in bed after the operation, after the chemo, I made the decision that I was going to rebuild stronger. I was going to come back as what I've termed Andy version 2.0, because I could either take that as a real knock in my life, or I could take it as a positive impact on my life and use that experience as a positive moving forwards. And that's the route I decided to go down. So through my running, I transitioned from marathon running into ultra and endurance running. I quite often design my own runs, and the purpose behind those is A, to inject a bit of fun, but B, to inject conversation as well around the awareness of this particular cancer, and also fundraising for cancer charities. So this time I am running to Diddley Squat, but not directly. I'm going to start at Oxford Station about 8:30 in the morning on Saturday, April the 12th. I'm then going to run to the Farmer's Dog first, which of course is his pub. I'm then going to run from the Farmer's Dog to the Hawkstone, which is the monolith that he named his lager after. And I'm then going to run from the Hawkstone to Diddley Squat, where will Jeremy be there? Probably unlikely. He's a busy man, but I've got a letter to hand in anyway, and it will be a very meaningful finish, and I will say thank you anyway to him for saving my life.
Oh, this is such an incredible thing to do. I absolutely love this. I mean, have you spoken to Clarkson, or does he know you're doing this in any way?
I've had really good engagement from the farm shop. So they reposted on their Instagram stories about my run. I've also had a comment from his partner, Lisa, on one of my posts. So I think there's definitely an awareness that they know that I'm coming. For me, it's the symbolism of arriving at Diddley Squat, a place owned by the man who undoubtedly saved my life. Whether he's there or not, I will say thank you.
And it would be lovely for him to be there, but I guess the great thing as well is that you're just here to raise awareness in the process, and that's probably the most important thing about this.
It is. I mean, I've had really good coverage, and thank you for taking an interest there at BBC Radio Oxford in the run, because this conversation is such an important one to have. And if just one person sees this run and says, do you know what, maybe I should do what Andy does, and, maybe I should check myself, maybe I should get this into my monthly routine as well, then every step of those 35 miles I will take running from Oxford to Diddley Squat will be absolutely worth it.
12th of April's the big day. Can we follow you on your run and maybe do some check-ins with you?
Yes, you absolutely can. I mean, I've got a website which is runningwestwoodho.co.uk. The run is called the Burger Run 2025 because one of the things I really want is the delicious-looking burger at the end of the run. I would have earned the calories.
Absolutely. You'll need it by the time you finish that one, I'm absolutely sure.
Will.
And Jeremy Ckarkson, if you are listening, Andy is on his way the 12th of April. Make sure you're at Diddley Squat. Thank you, Andy, for sharing your story.